Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla stock, let's go over the market, let's figure out what has happened today and what we can expect moving forward into, well, the rest of the week, really just one day left in the week and the last week of June being next week. So with that being said and done, as per usual, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And of course, my membership section is live. That link will, of course, be down below in the description of the video, at the top of the description. If you're interested, for just essentially $3 a month, you get access to all my intraday thoughts, posts, updates, options flows, technical analysis on Tesla. Every single day the market is open. So definitely would love to have you there if you're interested. But yeah. Let's jump into it. Tesla closing the day down, unfortunately, about 1.8% on the day, closing at about $181.50 per share, which compared to the market down, for instance, QQQ, about 0.8%, we'll say, roughly we'll say is kind of in line, if that makes sense, with the market. Tesla, I wouldn't say it's, underperforming the market too badly. In fact, it's probably kind of following the market. Now, we'll talk about everything I see with Tesla. We'll talk about some whales coming in on Tesla, some very bullish whales, which is a nice thing to see. And my overall main concern for kind of Tesla, I guess, which again, it'll all make sense as we jump into it. But the main thing to really look at today is, well, we're coming back down to the same-ish level that we've been at already. We've been kind of correcting towards the past few days, right? Other than this one massive green day, of course, we had on around this, low 180s level. I talked about this level. We talked about this level with my members plenty of times. We talked about it also at the beginning of the week, right? Monday and Tuesday, I believe, as well, both days, or maybe it was just Tuesday. I don't know. I think it was Monday and Tuesday. Anyways, we talked about 180. Why did we talk about 180? Well, we mentioned on the 15-minute chart how there was a potential little bear flag that we had setting up, that we are, this one right here, right? Remember this one? We talked about this. I think this was, yeah, this was Tuesday, right? Remember this Tuesday bear flag that we were talking about in that video? And I said how, there's a chance that this does play out, right? We were playing the Fibonacci retest here, right? We were kind of, getting rejected at a pretty, important level for this to, if anything, to get rejected at right here around this 0.32 to 0.5 level. And if it does reject, we'll probably come back down to about the 180s level. And that's exactly what happened. That's pretty much almost where we're closing at, right? Obviously, we came up down almost exactly to 180. We actually breached into 179 briefly, but, ultimately we came down to that level I talked about for the reason that I just mentioned, the bear flag, right? It kind of just simply made sense for this kind of mini correction after this massive green day, which we just had. And I think it, in theory, should be done. I think worst case, we just go sideways a little bit more. But in my opinion, the correction from that massive green candle is done. And the good thing about this correction is the fact that this green candle happened on elevated volume. We retraced on lower volume. And that's a good sign to me that, this kind of sell-off, if you will, for the past 2 days is technically just, it's not a real sell-off, if that makes sense. It's on lower volume. It's not very high conviction sell-off. And it seems to be really just a simple correction, honestly. That's what I personally think. On top of that, on I think it was Tuesday, we also talked about 180 because, well, that's just simply the max pain zone for options tomorrow, this week, ending this week, tomorrow, Friday. So it would be just kind of natural if, we're very close to that level, if we also happen to close relatively close to that max pain area, if you will, on Tesla, which of course is going to be, like I said, 180. So it just kind of makes sense. And that's exactly what happened. I even told my members that, we talked about this 180 times, many times this week, earlier in the week. It should come as no surprise. And we were all pretty much more or less ready for it. But like I said, now that this correction, in my opinion, is either done or very close to being done, again, assuming we hold 180 and assuming the bad case scenario doesn't happen, which I'll talk about very soon as to the main thing I'm concerned about, I personally believe that Tesla, either moving into next week or sometime in early July, should, in theory, break out to the upside over here. And at the moment, I personally expect to retest about $200 per share. Now, for some further confirmation, the things you want to be looking at as a bull, and technically as a bear, if you will, also really, but the main levels to look for as a bull to move that to move higher is, well, A, we want to make sure we continue holding this very low to 180s to very high 170s, but we also want to be breaking above this green trend line, and really we want to start closing candles pretty much above 190 to 191, right? Those are the main levels. The green trend line, if it happens to say tomorrow, is about 188, but ideally between 188-ish to about 191, that kind of area right now is the area that the bulls definitely want to not only break, but close a daily candle above. And if we do, I do believe that the door to about this 198 to about 205 range should be pretty open. Honestly, I really do believe that. So that's the way I'm currently seeing it right now, right? We're, of course, above the 21 EMA still. We're above the 100-day moving average. We're above the 50-day moving average, well above that. We're pretty much retesting that market bias right now, and it's still looking pretty solid, still acting as support, still green, still bullish. So I think there's no cause for concern, personally, at least as of right now. Now, let's talk about some potential. Actually, no, before we go into that, let's talk about the bulls. we'll finish off the bullish thesis here. So the bullish thesis continues. Tesla, massive bullish day over here. You can see $205 million in confirmed bullish flow came in today on Tesla. That is pretty damn astronomical, while NVIDIA was quite the opposite. So we'll see if NVIDIA, which by the way had a pretty bearish engulfing candle today, can finally start correcting. There's a lot of theories around NVIDIA and Tesla almost being inversely correlated. And once NVIDIA does begin its potential correction, which is way overdue in my opinion, I'm not stupid enough to short it, but I do believe a correction is way overdue. That people believe that Tesla will kind of almost inversely be correlated to it and rise while NVIDIA falls. We'll see that. Who knows? I mean, they're both red today, so who knows if that's actually true. But the thing I want to mention here, though, is important is on top of this bullish flow that we confirmed here, two massive whale orders came in. Well, arguably three, but two that I personally care about. One of which in the morning came in today at the 182.44 mark, above the ask, almost $2 million. And this was for, what is this, August 16th, 180 strike. Not too shabby. Pretty damn good. I like that. But the second one I like even more. This one came in 20 minutes before close. 2.55 million call order. Came in 195 strike. I like that. Out of the money. Not ridiculously far out of the money, but handsomely, we'll say, out of the money. Good stuff at the ask, of course. So it's not above the ask, but at the ask, above the ask, whatever. It's not a huge deal in my opinion, but it also came in for October 18th. So not too far out, only a few months out, right? It's not a ridiculous amount of time, but it makes sense because it is, you know, out of the money, a 195 strike for 2.55 million. So it makes sense that they bought some time with it. They bought, you know, what is that? Like about 3 or so months, right? Give or take 3-4 months, something like that. What are we in? We're pretty much in July, August, September, October. So about 4 months, roughly 3.5-4 months that they bought themselves with this time right here. So, you know, they definitely bought themselves time, which is good. But again, because it's out of the money, it kind of evens out. So to me, this is pretty damn bullish. I like to see this. These are the kind of options calls that I like to see. So with that being said, the second I saw this, I actually closed my cover calls that I had for about like 85 or 90% profit. And now I'm sitting and just simply cash secured puts. Probably will sell more cash secured puts if tomorrow is red, and I'm good to go. And I'm going to be ready to sell fresh cover calls on whenever we get the next rally, which can be as early as tomorrow, but maybe even early next week. Latest, I would say it'll be sometime early July, but I'm hoping for next week. But let's talk about the bearish aspect, right? Let's talk about some bearish things that can potentially still be here, right? Because even though Tesla, you know, I guess to kind of work off that bullish thesis one final time, you know, is still having a bullish MACD crossover, which is great. RSI looking pretty solid, right? Stochastic still flipped bullish, which is good to see. Weekly time frame still flipped bullish on the MACDs, looking solid. RSI looking good. MACD still bullish. There's still a lot of signs on Tesla that look pretty damn good, and the volume of this week is phenomenal. Honestly, the fact that this volume is this high, considering we didn't even have a market day yesterday, and based on tomorrow, we might even exceed last week's volume on one less day of the week. Pretty damn good, and I think Tesla is primed for a potential rally, especially with these options coming in today. I'm feeling pretty damn optimistic, I'll be completely honest. Obviously, we'll take it with a grain of salt, but nonetheless, I'm feeling good. Let's jump to that quick bearish thesis, right? Because, you know, it's not all, you know, roses and stuff and sunshines. You know, there are some things to be concerned about, right? The first and foremost is, like I said, you know, even though the stochastic is currently flipped bullish, which is obviously really good, if we open that up like this, you can see it is starting to once again potentially flatten out. Now, will this be an actual flattening out? For instance, it flattened out way over here, but it just ended up just rallying even further. But granted, we are closer to, you know, quote unquote overextended levels on the stochastic. We're not there just yet, right? There's still some more room to go, but, you know, we're getting close to it, right? But it is showing some signs of flattening out. Bit of a concern there. Nothing crazy just yet, but just something to potentially consider or think about moving forward that, you know, a little bit concerning, just a little bit. Still overall more bullish in my opinion, but just, you know, some concerns there in my opinion. That's probably the main one. There was another one that I am completely forgetting off the top of my head right now. There was, oh yeah, the QQQ. This is probably the one that's really concerning to me. Now, I'm not sure how it'll affect Tesla because, you know, I mean, will Tesla just follow the market if QQQ corrects, or will Tesla just do its own thing like it sometimes likes to do, pretty often actually, right? Where it just says, you know what, screw this market. I'll do what I want to do, and I'll do it when I want to do it. And I really just don't care if the market's green or red. I'll just do my own thing. That happens pretty often with Tesla. I would say like half the time. But with that being said, you know, you'd be a fool to completely disregard this. And what am I talking about? Well, QQQ and SPY are, of course, and especially QQQ, are quite elevated, right? RSI, at least as of yesterday, it's a little bit less elevated now, but still pretty elevated on the daily chart. RSI was at astronomically high levels of about 82, which is pretty damn like ridiculous, right? MACD obviously is extremely elevated on my favorite indicator you can see over here, pretty much in extreme overbought territories, right? Even after this correction, we're still pretty damn up there, right? stochastic, it did flip a bearish here, but is it going to be enough? I mean, a flip bearish here, then just went right back up anyway, so it's not enough to just justify off of this, but it did technically still flip bearish. It's extremely overextended. So the market essentially just feels exceptionally overextended. Like it really, really, really does. And I wouldn't be surprised if QQQ, for instance, corrects back down to about 470, 460s, something like that, right? But again, the reason I bring that up is because if the market decides to correct even further, will that affect Tesla? Will Tesla follow the market? Or will Tesla just ignore the market and maybe do the inverse like it sometimes likes to do? That's the big question mark. But if there was one thing that is kind of making me a little bit concerned, if you will, not like 100% bullish, maybe like 80% bullish, 85% bullish, it is that the fact that the market is extremely overextended, at least as of right now. And there is a potential correction on its way. Will it actually happen right now and maybe tomorrow? Nobody knows. But statistically and probability wise, if I see this kind of thing, let's just say I'm not buying up here. That is what I'm going to say. I'm not you wouldn't necessarily want to sell up here, but I wouldn't really want to be a buyer up here is the way I personally look at it. So just, food for thought. Take that as you will. Let me know what you guys think about it down below. But that's kind of the main thing I'm looking at, right? In terms of my favorite indicator, Tesla on the daily chart, just pretty much in neutral zone, slightly above it, which is good, but it's not overbought whatsoever. We did get actually slightly oversold briefly today on the 1 hour chart. Bounced off of it almost immediately, which is a good sign to see. And yeah, I think we're looking pretty damn solid as long as we continue maintaining this low 180s to extremely high 170s level. And I do believe Tesla should be primed to make a move to about $200 per share, maybe next week, maybe early July. I don't know when, but I do think it's going to happen. So with that being said and done, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button. And as usual, I will see you for tomorrow's video. So until then, peace.